Welcome to the Angler Talk Podcast with Chris and Aaron. Brought to you by
FishingMagicianTV.com. What is up, everybody? It's Chris and Aaron here for another weekly podcast of Angler Talk. How we going, bud?
Good. Always looking forward to the next guest that we have on, but I know you're having a bunch of, stuff happening at the house with the family, and, it's super unfortunate, and I wish your dad and everybody else the very best, dude. I really do. It's hard to think about fishing when you got family stuff going on,
Yeah, I hear you, man. But my pops is he's a strong guy, and I know he'll pull through what he's got going on right now. But this week you sat down and you talked with Jay from Real Meditation. Sounds like a really good guy. I saw the interview. It sounds great. And how did you feel doing that?
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad at all. It came natural, man. When you're talking back and forth with a fisherman about fishing, it's kind of, a flowing conversation that doesn't feel weird at all. You know what I mean? So I missed having my boy there to be able to banter back and forth and kick stuff off of. And, you come up with these questions to where I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even think of that, but other than that, man, it was good. Jay's a really solid guy, a really good family guy. He's got a great group of people behind him that are just pushing him to follow his dreams. I mean, served in the military, just stand-up guy all around.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So I hope everybody enjoys this interview. But before we get to that, of course, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not already. And if you're listening to one of the podcast platforms, please leave a review. Let us know what you think. And hope you guys enjoy the show.
Hey, bud, how you doing tonight, man? I'm here with Jay from Real Meditation. Do I have that right?
Yes. Jay with Real Meditation. We do some TikTok videos. We've got YouTube, Instagram, all that, but mainly we're using TikTok because of the live.
Yeah, and that's where I found you, man. I mean, I love the fact, Jay, to be honest with you, what really drew me to you guys was the family, kind of organized fishing, if you want to call it that way. It's it's a family ordeal with you guys.
Yeah, it's neat. We have. I'll just give you a little background on us as a family. Me and Lisa been together, married for. We just got married this past year. We've been together a little over 4 years. She had 3 daughters. I had a daughter. She's out in Washington State, but Lisa has 3 daughters. So when we got together, I kind of adopted them into the family. They're all older girls now, 22, 23, 21, and 20, or right in there. They're all just a little bit apart.
Which makes it nice sometimes, Jay. It really does. When they're not 10 and 12, I mean, it helps sometimes,
Yeah, well, that's the start. But so me and Lisa live here. Our youngest daughter, Lily, lives with us. The oldest daughter, Savannah, lives with us, and her husband, Noah. And then we have 2 grandbabies, Aiden and Avida. So we're a pretty thick house here.
Yeah, that's good. I love that, man. I always loved going over. I had a couple friends growing up that had a household like that, and it was always the house you wanted to be in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to meet up. There's always something happening. There's always some drama somewhere.
Yeah, that's the household you wish to have, man. That's really cool. So you told me a little bit about your military background. So how long did you serve? And I can't stress enough. I mean, we support all our local military here and even, abroad. So thank you for your service, man, for sure.
I appreciate it. It's an honor. I did 27 years. I had a kind of a split background with the military. I actually joined in high school, joined the Marine Corps in a delayed entry program. So I actually got to go do training between my junior and summer year, and when I came back, I hurt my knee. So I was, I had to leave because I couldn't do it injured. I actually healed very quickly, and when that was over, I joined the National Guard. It was in my hometown. I did that for about a year. I was looking for something a little more, so I joined a reserve unit that was actually in my county too. And I did that for 9 years. I volunteered during Desert Shield and Desert Storm, so I'm aging myself.
That's all right.
but I did that. I came home, and then I got out at the end of my contract, and I was out for 7 years. My daughter was born, and she was born with a kidney problem, so I got back in active duty though this time in '99, and I had to go through basic training and all that again because I was out.
Oh,
for so long.
goodness.
It's easy the second time. It's all it's a mental game.
Right.
But that was easy. Got through that, and I said I was only going to stay long enough till we got on our feet. My daughter was taken care of, and I moved along quickly. And it just felt like it was the right place to be, and I decided to stay and put 20 in. So I have a total of 27 years.
Wow, man.
Of duty. 20 of it's active, and then the rest is broken time between delayed entry, guard, and reserve. So I was an infantry guy through all of that. So I had been in mechanized units. I've been in, what we call straight leg units, grunts. Guys. And I was even in an air assault unit with the guard.
Wow.
So
it even sounds like when you got hurt, but that you were always looking. I said it even sounds like when you got hurt, you were always looking for a way to serve, man. I mean, that's admirable. That's really awesome.
Yeah. My dad was a Vietnam vet, and that wasn't what made me join it. Actually, probably growing up, I wasn't the most straight-laced growing up, and my parents were always saying, "We're going to send you to the military," and it kind of drove me away from it.
Right.
Until I was looking for where I wanted to be in life. You start getting to the end of high school, start trying to figure out a plan, and I knew college really wasn't it as a sit down, spend 4 years. I just knew that wasn't my way.
Right.
So I enjoyed it. I would not be the person that I am today without the military.
Hey, I mean, that says a lot. Jay, I was told the same damn thing. I was such a little badass, and I can remember my mom and my nan always threatening that. Screw regular school. You'd be better off in a military school.
Right.
Or, I just messed up to the point where the military didn't even want me. It was that bad. But that's awesome, man. So while you were in the military, excuse me, did you fish much? I know that's a crazy question to ask, but I had some guys that were enlisted and some buddies of mine that are Marines, and they always tell me stories of like when they could, they fit it in, and that was some of the best fishing they ever had. Sometimes, being in different places, but.
Well, I had an on and off story at different times, and I don't think that it wasn't the military whether I was fishing or not. It was home life.
Got it.
When it comes to the military, it's a pretty strict rule. You got to be there when you need to be there. You're a soldier 24/7. So I was good with that. And even being in the military got me to some places to fish that I would have never fished. Seen some places that I would have never seen. Yeah. And I don't miss an opportunity. If I can fish, I will.
That's awesome.
I went for a couple years where I really couldn't fish a lot. I was really into my job, and I became a leader, got in leadership, and I didn't have a lot of time. We were traveling with my daughter, going back and forth to make sure she was taken care of, and we had just bought a house. So, there was about a year that I couldn't fish at all. And I went on a deployment, and we came home in, I think, right at the beginning of December. And we were in Savannah, Georgia, right outside of Hinesville, Savannah, Georgia area. And I got home, and we had done all our Christmas stuff. And Christmas Day, we really weren't doing anything. We just got back from a little trip, so we were like, we'd done everything. So we were like, we're going to chill out. I said, I'm going to chill out at the river. And on Christmas Day, I walked out on a tree that was leaning in the water and had a little wee bait, like the size of that.
Right.
And caught an 8-pound largemouth.
Oh, that's it. You're hooked
in
again.
a river. So I definitely fished because of the military, different places. In different times. I caught an Asian carp out of Saddam Hussein's forehead palace.
Well, that's the story. See, that's the story right there. Yeah, that's a mounter. That's a wall mounter,
Right? Yeah.
No, that's awesome, Jay. Listen,
I used a piece of hot dog from an MRE. A meal.
Well, anything. I mean, at desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess, right?
Right.
So when you got yourself settled and you said you bought your first house, was it always Florida, or was it you got settled in Savannah, Georgia, and then kind of transferred, down south to Florida, or how did that go for you guys?
That was actually the second house at that time. I never had a it has to be here place. I retired out of Fort Knox. That was my last duty assignment, and I liked Fort Knox. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so it's very much alike, terrain wise, geographically. It holds the same features.
Right.
So I had no problem. I liked it there. And Fort Knox, I'm also a big hunter. And Fort Knox has 69,000 acres that you can hunt.
Right.
And
especially being in the military, you had access to all that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was where I decided to retire from, and I bought a place there just because I found a good deal and had some acreage. And I met Lisa at the same time, like literally within months of buying my place. I met Lisa.
Okay.
So it became our place.
Right.
Florida happened because we're nomads. We liked traveling. We liked going on trips and getting away from it all and seeing new places. And we took Florida a couple of years in a row because during the wintertime, Kentucky gets
you want to
cold.
get away from it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we would come down here for like a month or two. And the last trip, which was 2020, we went to the Navy Air Base in Key West, Florida. And we camped at Sigsbee Campground on base.
Yeah, really nice.
And it was so nice because I didn't have to leave base. We could shop there. We could get fuel there. They had a marina. They had bait.
Wow.
And we were 20 yards away from the water in a tent.
Right.
And we were slaying fish the whole time, catching all kinds of different kinds of fish. And on the way back, and Lisa had said many times over the first 2 years, I can't believe you don't just move where it's warm and fish all the time. I can't believe you don't live in Florida. Don't you want to do that? And I said, no, because I still liked the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
I liked the mountains.
Yep.
So we left and we were coming home. And about halfway home, I think about around Atlanta, I just looked over and said, screw it. I'm selling everything. And we had a farm, basically a farmette. We had brand new tractor, backhoe, four-wheelers, go-karts.
A lot. Yeah.
And I did landscaping. I had a trailer, big diesel dually truck, and we sold everything except outdoor gear and survival gear.
Wow, man. Wow.
Came here with a 7x14 trailer.
Yeah.
And we didn't know where exactly.
Yeah.
But the day that we sold our house, the craziness started. March 15th, 2020.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So we couldn't leave because the place we were headed to was not open for us to camp.
Yeah, nor could you find something else or anything. Right. Basically shut down. Yeah. Yeah.
So we actually went and lived with her parents. They live on a lake now. They've been retired, and it's just the two of them. So they said, hey, yeah, come over here, stay with us. So luckily, we got to stay on a lake in Kentucky throughout the winter, so I could still get out and fish a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Or through the springtime, and then once things started opening up, we moved to Port Charlotte. We met someone online through a group like this,
right?
And he said, "Hey, I just bought a brand new house and it's got extra bedrooms," and he gave us a great deal, and we stayed there a year. And Savannah and Noah didn't live with us then. It was just me, Lily, and me, Lisa, and Lily. And Savannah was pregnant with the second grandchild, and all this craziness was going on. And we said, hey, why don't you come get some support, come live with us.
Right, get away from it all and just come over with Grandpa and Grandma, basically.
Yeah. And we obviously talked to the owner of the house before that, made sure we had enough room. And then we all moved in together, and we started looking for our own place, and we found this. We rent this place, and I would love to buy it. I don't know if I could afford it because it's on a canal, but now we live here on a canal in Englewood, Florida, and we're minutes away from the intercoastal, and maybe it may take us 8 minutes to get to the open ocean if we want it.
Wow, it's a dream, Jay, to be honest with you, buddy. Like, It's so crazy hearing you talk about your backstory. Reminds me so much about how I started. I mean, we have super similar stories, man. I came from New Jersey, right, where we had the Four Seasons. I had that inbred in me where it's like, you got to stay up in an area where you can hunt. The winters suck, but you have all the hunting, and then you got all the fishing and saltwater. So some part of me was like almost stuck. So I was talking to the lady, going back and forth, and we were always saying, ever since we were younger, why do we stay here for these winters? Like, they're just so depressing. You're stuck inside, no fishing, So literally out of the blue, I jump in my truck, I loaded the Harley in the back, all my fishing gear, and I drove down and stayed with a friend in Sebastian, Florida. And he's the
Sebastian.
Yep. Too bad. I had no idea what Sebastian was, Jay.
You were done.
No freaking idea, dude, right? All this kid is telling me is that, hey, the river's right next to me and the ocean's close. Everybody drives around in Jeeps with their tops off, right? That's all he's freaking telling me. So I had no idea. I come down, I'm sleeping on his couch, looking for jobs, trying to get my feet, on the ground. And I finally did. The lady came, we drove all the way back to New Jersey, drove her back down with me. Within 2 months, we bought a fifth wheel camper, a really nice 32-footer. And we had to rehab it a little bit. And, we parked that on a lot. And then I started really feeling what Sebastian had to offer, the freaking inlet. I was here for 6-7 months without even knowing the inlet was right there,
Oh, God.
I mean, going over the bridge with the beach and just the entire area. And we fell in love with it. It's the summer times are beating us down, but all the way leading up to where you're boiling outside, we're in friggin' love with the weather, man. We really are. And the fishing too. I mean, about Sebastian Inlet. I'm
my
sure,
goodness.
Right?
Dream world.
Yeah. Yeah. So the inlet's one of them spots where when I really started, saying, okay, I'm going to try to learn this area and get on to some kind of, routine where I know what's coming in and out of this, the fishing just picked up. I mean, 100-fold. I mean, the snook have their own kind of migration going on there, and then they stay there all year. The reds come in and out when their migration is. Tarpon, flounder. I mean, Jay, if you haven't fished it, it's one of those spots where we got to get you on it, man.
Hey, I've been to Sebastian twice, and we were talking. We have to make a trip to Sebastian this year to because we loved it. We stayed in the campground at Sebastian for 10 days. Like 10 days.
Oh, wow.
Living there and just wake up in the morning and walk across the street and go fishing.
Yeah. I battle with everybody on the boats when I take my little skiff and I drift through the inlet. All the campers are coming out in the morning pissed off that I'm literally floating in their backyard, It's perfect spot to stay, man.
It is.
Yeah, the campground's really nice, man. I got a 16-foot action craft. It's a little flats boat, but it's set up really, really nice. And I can get you guys into some of these areas, Jay, where like the inlet isn't. That's not all the the area has to offer. The river that runs through.
There's great backwater. We stayed. There's another camp. We stayed the second time we came. We stayed on the northern side.
Okay.
And there's a campground tucked back in there, back through the woods. You wouldn't even know it was there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But we stayed there, and so we did all backwater fishing, and we were killing trout in there. I mean, crazy.
It's one of my favorite places. Even though it's kind of commercialized with all the campers, still. I mean, it's. You have areas back there that are a little less than a foot of water on low tide. I get all the way back in so deep to where you'll never see another person. And it's amazing. It's like paradise, dude. The snook and the trout that are stuffed back in there. I mean, right now is even a really good time to fish it, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's really just starting to get good right now. We have winter fish over here. We still get decent, a lot of jacks in the winter. I can catch snook here year round.
In the canal?
Well, not in the canal, but just outside.
Close to it, yeah.
You've seen most of the stuff we've been fishing around here. It's a lot of good-sized flats that are right off channels. So you kind of got, the fish can get to deep water. They can be, when the water pools out too far, they can get up there and they can push super shallow all the way up into mangroves.
Yeah.
And they will, right. It's nothing to see 100-pound tarpon back in where it's dorsal fin sticking out of the water because there's no room left.
Right. Yeah, that's epic, man. I love seeing that. From, you know it as well as I do, Pennsylvania to New Jersey. You can't even imagine that kind of stuff, until you're on the freaking water and you're seeing this and you're just like, this is everything we watched growing up as kids, where these guys are fly fishing and,
Every
pushing
Saturday
flat.
morning, you were sitting there watching TV, watching
Damn straight. Praying for 2 feet of snow outside, praying that something's going to change to where I can go do that, But so right now, I know we just spoke about how the fishing's been kind of off and it's been slow, being we're kind of getting out of the winter into the spring. How's it been for you guys? Is there any certain species that's been more prominent or dominant than any other? Or
dominant, I would say snook.
Yeah,
because they're stable here. they don't really have these. I mean, I know they have mass migrations, and usually they're big overslot snook that are doing that.
right.
The smaller snook, number one, these little inlet areas, little canals, that's all nurseries for the babies and the smaller. Till you get up to your 18 plus size fish, then they'll move out of the canals and out of some of the really skinny stuff, and they'll get along some of that drop off edge stuff where there's mangroves there, because they're predator fish. They're they ambush, so they want to find the best place. We have a little disadvantage right now, because last year we had an algae bloom, red tide, and a chemical spill north of us. And all that blew into our area, and we literally watched fish die in our backyard by the thousands.
I think you guys posted some TikTok videos about that, right?
Yeah, and it's tough because we lost the habitat. First we lost the fish, then we lost the bait fish too, and then all that grass. There's so many. I mean, we have one grass flat that I can tell you, if you could troll through it, it would be a mile long.
Wow.
Now that flat has 100-yard strip of grass on it. And then it's just sand, and then another 100-yard strip. So that's changed a lot here. And it definitely like the year before, we were pounding fish every day, all the time, different species, especially all the shallow water inshore stuff, the reds, the trout. We were even catching some flounders here and there. When you'd come outside of a point and it was sandy. And the snook. Now it is coming back. We are starting to see some young grass. We're starting to see grass actually growing in our canal where there wasn't grass before.
Wow.
So Mother Nature's taking its course, and we have to let it do that. I don't like anything that we do as humans that messes it up, especially that big. Like, I firsthand got to see how devastating this was last year.
I agree.
And there was a day we came home, and it actually made Lisa sick. The red tide made Lisa sick.
For sure.
She's got MS, and that if you have an immuno problem, and a lot of people need to look into that, because that red tide, the gases that come off of it can hurt you. So people need to be aware of that.
Yeah, no, a lot of people are, to be honest with you, Jay. I didn't, again, coming from New Jersey, you have no idea. You see this stuff on the news every once in a while, but you have no idea till you're walking the beach and it smells like, a sewage plant, and you're trying to figure out, what is this smell? There was no even dead fish at the time. It's coming off of the red tide, like, I couldn't believe it. Our area here in Sebastian, back in, I want to say mid-90s, I was told, again, I wasn't here, but I was told that we had some of the most beautiful grass flats, I mean, in the entire state of Florida, like almost down to the Keys, like beautiful grass. And then up until, recent, what I can actually speak about, from my own, having my own boat on top of them, we have maybe 5-gallon bucket patches of the real seagrass scattered, I swear to you, scattered throughout the inlet and scattered throughout the, the flats behind the river. We have no thick grass, flats to where it's covered in green grass. It doesn't even exist in the river, from what I know. And I've been all over this damn thing, trying to find the skinny water. And The only spots I find it are up north in Melbourne or down in Fort Pierce, but it's almost like not like an algae, but like a seaweed grass. It's not the grass we're talking about that, the manatees eat,
Or, well, we call it moss, but
right.
because it's literally like dead grass.
Right.
And luckily what we've seen is there's new grass coming. And
that's good.
We're seeing lots of this old grass get pushed out, and it's floating because being a problem. I call it junk or trash when we're out there. But it is thank goodness it is coming back. Luckily I can get to some weedy places. But this area was just devastated. We have 5 beaches in Englewood. And they're all like 4 of them are lined up, and then there's one that's separated. But that line of beaches lost. Everything. The income from people coming to the beach because nobody wanted to go to the beach and wade past fish and smell that. And it did a lot of different kinds of damage.
Right. And Jay, I'm praying to God that not only the governor, but who he appoints, to be head of any of these commissions, literally takes it as serious as all we are and does something about it, man. Because there is ways to adjust it. There is ways to slow it down. There is ways to curve it. And I feel you have to be ahead of it. You can't wait till it starts blooming and it starts becoming an issue to try to stop it. At that point, I feel like it's too late. You have all this year leading up, knowing it's about to happen, knowing you're doing something wrong again. I mean, pesticides, whatever it is, it's got to be stopped. And I pray to God that, it's taken as serious as what we know it is,
I'm in the same boat. I'm right there with you. And I don't like to talk politics, but I have to know them, because if not, I can't say where to tell my view of what I see being firsthand knowledge. We're the frontline fishermen,
right?
Along with all the charter captains that are out there. Yeah. We see this stuff. I mean, I probably fish 4 to 5 times a week.
Yeah.
And so I'm out there. I watch it change day by day.
Yeah.
And I hope all that we can humanely take care of everything.
Right.
Smart.
I do too. I hope we can move past it this year. I really do.
But as far as our fishing now, it has definitely gotten better. The reds are moving really well now up in the shallows. But man, they get skinny, and the water has gotten so clear here in the last month. Really? That I can't sneak up on a red in the boat most of the time, because now I get lucky when there's a good transition, a high tide fall in here on the grass flats that I fish. If it's coming out, I can set up where I can cast right to the edge of the grass I can run a jerkbait, like high rod it, keep it up from the bottom. Yeah. And man, the reds, when they come, they just annihilate it. So the reds have definitely picked up. They're looking good here. I hadn't caught a red here in a year. Now I don't target them all that much, but flat inshore fishing is inshore fishing. You can
that's what I was just gonna tell you. If you're out there trying to catch snook or even trying to catch trout, the chances of you catching a nice red, I mean, it's just the same as catching either of them. If they're there, they're gonna bite.
They're running almost the same stuff. The trout like a hair deeper in water than the red. The reds will get as skinny as they can. They will get up as tight as they can. And that's how I'm seeing them tailing most of the time now. But it is picking up, and I really noticed about a month and a half ago started to shift, and I hadn't been seeing any Spanish mackerel. Even I go up to the Venice Jetty and I fish it quite a bit. Yeah. And I hadn't been getting any up there. Well, then I had a day where I picked up one Spanish mackerel and I said, okay, they're starting to move. About a week later, I caught my 3 in an hour that were the biggest 3 I'd ever caught. I caught one 26 inches long.
Wow. All right.
That's a huge Spanish mackerel.
Yeah.
I had
really
3
nice
over
size.
22 inches that night. So that's when I noticed that the shift was starting. then I started paying attention to water temperature.
Right.
Because I knew it was at like 66 degrees 2 weeks before that.
Yeah.
It was up to 69 degrees that week.
Okay.
And then now we're seeing, today was 76 out there.
Right.
So I'm really getting this correlation of, just like bass fishing or anything else, the water temperature is what's driving.
For sure, Jay. And it, you know, I keep telling my friends from back north, they're asking me consistently, like, how are you not murdering big fish out here? And how are, you know, every time you're going out, how are you not slaying them? And I keep telling them it's the same thing as up north. If you drop, well, here on the Indian River side anyway, if you drop 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 7 degrees, if you have that 7-degree shift from the sun up to midday, it shuts the river off, not completely, but it literally slows everything down until that warm up happens. And then about midday, when you think you can't throw topwater anymore because the sun's too high, everything starts exploding and coming alive. You know, they start feeding, they start, you know, ambushing their prey a lot more freely. I mean, they're not as spooky. It's just, you know, that couple degree drop has such a big swing. It really does.
Yeah, and that's it goes like you said for everything. We call it back home. We say they start sulking. You know, when the water temperature. Guess what? When you're back home and the temperature changed that much outside, what do you want to do? Go inside and sulk?
Be in the sun. Yeah, no lie.
Lazy.
Goodness.
So
and that's another thing. You know, I keep telling guys from back north. You know, they compare the snook to the big stripers. You know, they're asking me, you know, how can we target these fish successfully? I keep telling them they're just as lazy as the big stripers up north. They don't want to do a bunch of work. They don't want to run around and be chasing bait all crazy. Some of the younger ones will, but like you said earlier, they're pure ambushers. You know, they'll set up in one spot, and if they have moving water rushing in their face, when that degree changes a couple degrees, they'll start opening their mouths. It's almost like they got freaking lockjaw. You know.
And and that was a good point. And the bigger these fish get, the less that they want to work. Right. And that's how they get big. Yeah. And I saw today, we floated the inner channel, not Ski Alley out here where we go, but the inner channel. I can't remember what they call the dang thing. And it has got a mangrove island in between two channels. Okay. So this mangrove island, when the water gets up high enough, the snook and a lot of these fish are literally in the trees. Right. You know, and you can't cast into the tree. You can cast to them, but you can't cast underneath them. And those fish will sit right on that edge. And if you throw, like I have a 5.5-inch hollow-bodied mullet. I think it's a live target. And I'll take that because it's weedless, like a frog. Right. You know, I'm not afraid to throw up under the mangroves and all that because I can get it out most of the time. But if you can literally like drop that on their head and they'll come up and get it. But you put that thing 6 inches away and they're not 6 inches. Yeah. And you can see the fish. Right. They'll just turn their head and they don't rush out. They know.
Well, Jay, I'll tell you this. I'm glad you're dealing with that over on that side too, because I thought I was a freaking lone dude. And, you know, I'm watching all these videos of these guys targeting fish, you know, seeing them schooling and tailing, and they're casting at them and they're blowing up on their baits. And I'm like, this does not freaking exist here right now. It might sometimes of the years, but right freaking now, I'm spooking these guys. Or like you said, they're sitting so tight in the mangroves where you got to throw it and hit them in the face for them to take it. You know, I thought it was me. I'm glad it's not just me.
I started changing some of my tactics too. When I started when I started realizing what they were, you know, that they're like that. Yeah. High bright sky days, clear water. I started paying way more attention to my color. I wanted darker colors. I wanted natural looking stuff, and I wanted to slow down. Right. Most of my fishing, I mean, you've seen me on. I'm jerkbaiting. I'm reeling fast. I'm getting after aggressive fish. Well, you go a month without catching a fish, and you'll change your attitude about being aggressive.
Real fast. and I did, Jay. I went as far as my knots. I went as far as my leader diameter. I was going 15 pound fluoro. I went all the way down to 5 pound fluoro. And I know that sounds freaking crazy, right? Yeah. But I found that these big snook that were sitting up in a foot of water, literally waiting for mullet to hit them in the face, they wouldn't take it with a 15. I was spooking them. They were seeing it. It was reflecting. Something was going on with that, to where when I downshifted to the 5, I lose a lot more bigger fish now. I'm not gonna lie, but the hookup ratio is like double. Jay, I'm able to get
bite ratio
to 5 pound. Yeah.
So did you change lure size too?
I did. I went down. So you know how I fish a lot of the Yozori twitching minnows, you know?
Yep.
And the Yozori twitching minnow, they have like a bigger size. I think it's like a 6-inch. Then they have a 4, and I think they have like a 2 or 2 1/4, something like that.
Yep.
That's the guy I've been throwing.
But what I realized, and I got a little, I don't know if you have you been on Salt Strong? You know about them, what they do.
I know a little bit about them. I haven't followed them too much. I've been following their page for quite some time, but I haven't dig in.
So they reached out to us when we became affiliates, and the only reason I would even think about being an affiliate is if I believe in your product. Well, I had been fishing them for 2 or 3 years at that point.
Yeah.
And they work.
So it was a no-brainer for you.
But so when they did that, I watched some of their videos before. I knew they were pretty on top of what was going on. They're super educational. If you want to learn how to fish. Okay, so back to the fishing part, I learned some new things. When I have trouble, I start looking to everybody else to see, hey, what are you doing now? Or what are your secrets? Or so, like you were saying, I was throwing Yozuri jerk baits that big. Here's what I actually found out. It wasn't that the fish wanted a smaller profile. And you might not believe this, but this bait flying through the air.
Push it closer to the screen.
A big lure, a bigger lure flying through the air when you're casting is what's spooking the fish. That's what I have. After I listened to what they said, I started looking, and they said you might have to downsize your lure, get more natural colors, because they're seeing that bait and it's so clear that they said, hey, they don't think, the fish looks at it and says it's not natural.
Right.
I started noticing, I'm casting, I see a tailing fish, I cast up there, and I know I'm going to cast in front of it and further away because I don't want to spook it.
Right.
But they see that big lure coming through the air, and they know the only thing they have to worry about is stuff from up above.
I was just going to say that, Jay. That is super freaking smart to think about it like that, dude, because I get super technical with this stuff, right? Like so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, that's exactly, they're on
it's
a flat.
It's your gear.
Right. Yeah. They're these fish are big, right? They're on a flat. They're in a foot less of water. All they're thinking about is eating, and then what danger could be smashing them from above.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that makes so much sense. I never ever thought about that, dude, to be honest with you.
It was just, the Salt Strong guys didn't say, hey, your lure flying through the air is causing them to react. They were saying, hey, maybe downside, be more natural, do things to look obviously like what they're looking at. But when I saw, I had a school of reds, even this morning, same thing. But I didn't pick up on it quick enough to downsize my lure. But I saw them there. They're in 8 inches of water.
Yeah.
I whip a shaky fluke up there.
Right.
It looks pretty natural, right? But look how big it is.
Right.
And they were like, whoa, something's coming.
Oh, yeah.
And, if you see something coming at you, what do? You duck and get out of the way.
Right. You think about that bait is damn near the size of a bird's head or a beak. You know what I mean? Like any friggin' thing, a talon coming into the water. Like,
right.
That's so wild.
They're more survivalist than they are worried about eating.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's how they got that big too,
Right.
So tell me a little bit about the affiliation with Salt Strong, but if you can speak about that, or if you're willing to speak about that, what do you have going on with Salt Strong?
Yeah, well, we became affiliates. We talked to them, and what was cool is when they reached out, it wasn't just hey, we like your videos, sell our stuff.
Yeah.
they, number one, just like what you said, and I got to thank you. I appreciate that, saying why you thought you wanted to reach out to us, the family and all that. They said the same thing. They said, we really like what you guys were doing. We like seeing your program. And hey, we'd like to, you obviously promote our lures. And, and they said, well, we'd like to give you some free lures. And they sent us 3 packs, I think, of Slam Shadies and some heads and stuff like that. And they said, this is our affiliate program. And they let us go on and look at it. And basically what they said was, hey, every pack of these lures that they, it's a giveaway. So you can go on and you get a pack of Slam Shady Salt Strong lures.
Okay.
It's a 7-pack, and all you have to do is pay for the shipping. It's like $287 or something. And they said you'll get, whatever percentage of our sales. And I said, well, you're giving them away free, and you're giving us money on top of that. How are you making money? And they said 74% of anything that someone buys from them is a repeat sale. And I was blown away. I was like, you own the world, man. If you can sell if you can sell a second time 74% of the time,
right?
Half those people just aren't doing that anymore. Or that 26%, they're just not even in that game anymore. But you're getting a ton of repeat customers. And I get it, because social media is taken over. Just like, we'll probably hear somebody from DNR want to talk to us about, hey, you were talking about red tide and flood control and this and that, somebody's going to hear it and see it.
Right.
And the affiliation's been great. There were a few hiccups with like the technical stuff, us getting an online link and it working right. But it's worked out great, and they've been super nice. I have like a contact person I work with now, Cameron, and if I got a question, I can just shoot him a text, or, even, hey, I want to know about something. I know there's a video out there. I can't find it. And he'll tell me what the name of the video is in Salt Strong, and I'll go in there and find my information. I learned how to tie an FG knot. Right. Great at it. It's got its own place. It's not taken over for me, but now I know that knot only because I sat there with them for a couple hours tying an FG knot.
So I was going to bring that up, Jay. They actually have, I don't want to call it like a master's class, but they have like a subscription.
It is. It's called a master's class.
Is it really? So,
yes, they have
I knew they had something like that, to where you could pay to be like almost part of the team, and then you open or unlock certain parts or videos or content, right? Am I saying it right?
That's almost perfectly said. So they did, after we started talking and doing this, they gave us an insider link. That's what it's called, insiders.
Okay.
Salt Strong Insiders. And what these two brothers did is they wanted to be smarter about fishing. So they learned it. Once they learned it, they were like, my God, here you and I were growing up for 20 years trying to learn how to fish, and we were doing half the things wrong to start.
Right. Yep.
I love tackle. I love everything. I love playing with my toys, my paraphernalia, all the bits and pieces, and I can talk shop about. I can tell you 99% of the brand names and what the lure is. But you know what catches fish? Fishing where there's fish.
Right.
Literally, that's the number one thing, is being where there's fish. And they have all these classes. Probably the biggest thing is their 90-10 class, or this is where the fish are. And it holds for everything. If you've hunted, 90% of the animals are going to be in 10% of the area.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. I listen. I'm like the best person to talk about this stuff with, because I tell my, the other host of the show, I tell them all the time, I get so freaking technical to where like I start second guessing myself if that's too much or not. You know what I mean? But really, what got me as far as I believe I am, I hope I am, is I studied the fish. I didn't really study how to catch them, how to how to my baits or my rod or nothing. I literally study, and even up to this day, Jay, like what the patterns are of the species I'm trying to, to hunt or to catch. And that usually gets me in a spot where that like 10% window is a little better than the average guy just trying.
Yep.
Because I've almost figured the cow out. I figured the horse out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I know where he's coming to feed. I know where he's going to sleep. So it's the same thing with hunting. You know what I mean?
And they say it a lot. They say, because everyone thinks of saltwater and they think of a GPS number.
Right.
They're like, this is the spot. And
Yeah.
they say, forget the spot. Now, remember, if you catch fish in a certain area under certain conditions, and what kind of fish that was. Because if the conditions come back to that,
Right.
and you want to catch that kind of fish, now you have a spot for those conditions.
Well said.
They try to. So back to them, they have multitudes of videos.
Yeah.
Not just a YouTube video, but they got like collections of videos. And this is where I kind of screwed up. I didn't study the particular fish, but I did catch on to some patterns.
Right.
Now I'm at the point where I'm now studying particular fish, to get to know what is that temperature range that the snook are looking for to be hitting top water.
Yeah.
Now, when are the reds not sulking out in deep water and they're coming to push in?
Right.
When are the greenies or the herrings or bluebacks or mullet?
It goes deep. Yeah, it goes deep.
Yeah, and that's how you get good at it. That's how you get specific, and you can go next year when your buddies call and say, "Hey, why ain't you slaying fish?" You're like, "Hey, watch my video."
Right. Yeah. And you know what I tell them? I'm like, well, listen, it was blowing and it was 10 degrees off and the tide was low. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, it doesn't matter. They haven't gotten it. And I pray by watching these videos and watching like people like Salt Strong and like you guys that they'll finally pick up that it's so much more than just luck. It really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to study it. And that's awesome that Salt Strong is offering that. I picked up a little bit of like their subscription, like where you could pay for like the basic, and the basic gave you like a certain window. They opened up almost everything to the basic, and they were like, if you like it for this amount of time, then we'll give it to you, and if not, then we'll, everything back, right? Something on them lines.
Yeah. So they have a full money back guarantee, and the way they word it is, if you don't catch more fish, that like they're putting it on the line, not like, hey, I'm going to teach someone that's never going to fish all this stuff and give it to them for free, and they're not going to catch fish.
Right.
They're saying you will catch more fish, with this program if you get in. And there's at least two different levels. I think there's a third. I don't know nearly enough about it. They're in the spectrum of my day. Like, I have this much time compared to what they have to offer, and it drives me crazy. Sick days are my days when I can sit around and just gorge and
soak it in
all the information. But they have a beginner's, intermediate, and a master's course. Yeah. But in each of these, you can. So yes, you can go to YouTube and you can look up Salt Strong, and you can learn whatever they're putting out. Whether it was hey, this day we went fishing, or we're going to show you how to tie the non-slip loop knot, up to the point of, you want to learn how to catch triple tail and what time of year and what bait to use and how to, like, that specific fish has its own hour and a half, 2 long hour video of just that fish. And not, hey, we're watching fishing videos of catching fish. They're telling you all the little parts that go into it, and it's amazing. And
that's pretty awesome. Yeah,
I'm sad that I don't watch it more often.
Right.
But I'm out here trying to do my, I'm trying to live it too.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? You can't catch them if you ain't fishing.
But they have master's courses, and they'll talk about everything, and they do their own testing. They do their own line knot tests, not just knots, but lines, and they'll tell you, and they'll set it all up so it's all the same way. So they don't just talk about it. They live all this stuff, and they're hardcore fishermen. You know,
that's what I see. You know, it sounds like that they're willing to put all this to the test, and so you don't have to deal with hitting your head up against the wall time after time after time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, look at this line, look at these hooks, look at these baits. This is what's working. This isn't what's working. You know, and I love how they're getting into detail per species, and it's not this watch me go fishing and buy my stuff kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's a lot of what's out there, and it's it's frustrating. But I've tournament bass fished a little bit too, so I've been around those scenes, and I always growing up I thought I wanted to be a pro bass fisherman.
Me too.
And I learned a lot of the darker backdoor side of stuff. And I told my wife, she was like, "Why don't you become a charter captain? You are so good at teaching people and you know fishing." I said, because at that point, that's a job, and I'm paid to do it, and I have to do things a certain way.
Right.
Not that I can go out and have fun with it. Not that I couldn't.
Yeah.
But I've been on charters too.
Right. No, I get it. I
know the work that I have to do just for us to go fishing for 5 hours. I come back, I'm cleaning the boat, flushing the motor, getting everything put away, in and out of the house. It's a different world. So with sponsorships, I don't know that anybody's got any out there that I would take. Sponsorship. Unless they're like, "Hey, we just want to give you money and let you do your channel." Oh, cool, bro.
Right. I'm here. Yeah.
But that's not how it is. They're going to say, "Hey, Wednesday at 7:30, you're going to be on a podcast."
Yeah. Or push this, even though you don't like it, push it. Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what I really liked about Sawstrong. They didn't say, "Hey, go out here and sell this stuff." They said, if something does sell from your channel, we're going to kick something back to you.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. I love it.
Right.
And like I said, I had to figure out how they're making money, but they're making money because of repeat customers. Because just like me, I'll bet we tore up 3 packs of Slam Shadies in 2 weeks.
Wow.
When we had a good run of Spanish mackerel and blues coming through, we were killing them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But it's rubber bait, so
but still, the price point, Jay, is not like $5.99 a bag, dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can deal with that.
It's well worth it for me. The catch ratio is well worth it for me.
Right.
I like their products, and they're at the point where they've been doing it long enough now that they know all the manufacturers.
Yeah.
They had a deal set up with Z-Man when they first came out with the Slam Shady Color. Great bait. It killed them. And there's not a giant difference between the old and the new one. Color-wise, they're almost identical. They're a different style of bait. They're a different plastisol or plastic.
Right.
But now they're at the point where they're selling their own baits. Now they have the connection or the machines. I'm not that deep into them.
Whatever it is,
they're making their own or they're just having them made. But they have their own packaging and stuff now. They've detailed the little minute things that they wanted to do, and they have it all. They have baits, they have the hooks, they've got the jigs, they've got Dr. Juice scent, and that's
I've got it on my boat.
That's something that I probably would have never even thought about using in saltwater.
Right.
Because
I will tell you, Jay, up north we use a lot of what's called cheddar oil. And I think honestly, I'm gonna one of our sponsors here on the podcast offers a bunch of different scents. And I don't want to butcher the name, so I'm not gonna say it out loud, but he offers
like a crawl or a crustacean, a minnow.
Yes.
Type,
Yep.
oily fish.
Yep. So up north we use cheddar oil for weak fish, which is basically sea trout. I started using the shrimp scent down here, and I will tell you, it almost is like a gluey paste, so it doesn't just run off like an oil. You know what I mean? What I do is I squish it into the crack where you hide the hook.
That's
so when they bite that sucker, dude, they have something squirting at them. And it usually lasts about 10-15 casts before I'm putting it back on. So it's not a huge waste.
Yeah, I've only started using this scent in the saltwater since we affiliated with them a couple months now. I haven't got to the point where I've had a day that I was consistently catching fish.
Yeah.
To be able to see the difference between using it
With
and
it or
not
without
using
it. Yeah.
Now I'm just at the point where now I keep one on the boat, and I have one in my bass bag, and I have one
Right.
because I'm using them. I definitely used it for bass, and it definitely made a difference when I was fishing worms.
Right.
I used one without the juice on it, the Dr. Juice, and then I used it with, and when I put it on, it just started changing. I started picking up more fish.
Well,
So
all right.
I had 3 days that I was fishing worms in the Harris chain, and that scent definitely helped.
So I was going to ask you if you did much freshwater, but I mean, that was the answer right there.
Yeah.
Have you ever fished headwaters over here in Fellsmere?
I have not, but
Jay,
we
listen,
got an
you got
invitation, and I'm coming. We just
you
got
got the invitation, buddy. Listen, I'm telling you right now, you got the invitation, bud. This lake is like no other freshwater lake I've ever fished. The entire state of Florida. I bounced around to a couple of them. Stick Marsh, I don't think has anything on it. I mean, there's a couple more that I could name, but Jay, when I tell you, I feel every time I go on that lake, there's a possibility of a 10 to 15 pound bass being pulled out.
Nice.
That's no exaggeration, dude. It
Nice.
looks like prehistoric Florida, to where it's like, I know it's not untouched and I know it's kind of man made, but they've done it so well. I mean,
Yeah.
the grass and the floating mats, and it's prime, dude.
It's great when it comes out right and it all comes together, and it sounds like that's got. I can't wait, man. After this, we're gonna set up a date. We got a couple things in the works for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Got a grandbaby coming real soon.
No, it's all good. That's all good. But listen, we'll work it out, man. Even if it's not summer fishing, and we look at it and we hit it in February or January, something like that. Hey, lady.
This is when I'm coming in. Am I invited to?
Why would you not be? It's a family affair. Are you kidding me right now?
Listen, I will be the lady behind the scene doing the camera work. I will absolutely love it, and I'll do a live for you guys. I will even do it on your page if you want.
Yeah, perfect. Guys, listen, I just picked up. I wish we had more time. I'd tell you about everything, but I just picked up a new wireless mic kit for the GoPro. I got a new little. It's called a mini rig that when you hook it up to the light pole in the back of the boat, it charges the GoPro continuously. So it allows us all to fish and not have to worry about freaking anything. You know what I mean?
You're still watching the Bassmasters, huh?
Oh yeah, am I ever? Am I freaking ever? You
Is that where you saw it?
If I could bet money on that stuff, I would bet money on it.
Oh God.
Yeah, all the pros, all the big wigs in bass fishing now have all got that.
Yeah.
Mark Jr., Mark Davis Jr., Wheeler, all them guys. Ott Defoe, they've all got that set up now, and it's cool.
And listen, Jay, I thought it was going to be $200-300 for this friggin' setup, but I went over to Bass Pro. It's $80 for the stick. You got to put your own little charging cable in, and then the GoPro, you make sure you have a case that's still waterproof when it's plugged in. God forbid, Right. And then you let it rock. I mean, if you got the plug for the anchor light, you're done, dude. I mean, it's a plug and go for under $100. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah. Well, see, I can't.
But no,
I don't fish. I used to fish. I used to do bass tournaments with Jay, but I can't fish right now. I got a few physical issues, but I will film everything. And I know the GoPro. See, we got GoPros.
Yeah.
The GoPro can only get so much. It gets the whole thing, but I will get some awesome footage for you guys.
You are more than welcome.
If you just let me be on the boat.
You are more than welcome.
Okay.
If I had room, Jay, I'd invite the whole family, bub. I got a 16-foot boat. It'll fit the three of us, but I swear to you, I'd have the whole family out there if I could.
I know. Thank you.
We keep having small boats. We're not all on the boat at one time.
Yeah.
We'd have all the TikTok on there.
It was a blessing and an awesome night talking to you, buddy. It really has been. And I'm down to do this again whenever you get some time and you get some more fishing trips under your belt and you want to talk more fishing, please hit me up and we'll do this again, dude.
Oh, definitely. I appreciate it. It was really cool. It's great to finally see a face.
Yeah, I know,
You got
right?
to see mine, but
No, Jay, it's been fun, buddy. And tell
it
your
is,
wife
man.
I said
can't
have a
wait
good
for us
night.
to actually meet up. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Awesome, buddy. Awesome. We'll talk soon. All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Wow, Aaron, that was a good interview, man, and I think you did a really good job, bud. And Jay seems like he has lived a very interesting life, to say the least.
Yeah, a really full life, and I tell you, Chris, he's in every fisherman's dream location. I mean, not only Florida, but you're on a canal where you have constant boat access, and you're only minutes away from inlets and intercoastal waterways, dude. I mean, it's every fisherman's dream, really.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome, man. I think I believe he said 27 years in the military, man. That's extremely admirable. And Jay, when you're watching or listening to this, I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your service. And me and so many more people really appreciate it. We really do.
Yeah, I honestly can say talking to him just felt supernatural, man. We got a couple trips planned in, I think, the end of this month. We're gonna hit headwaters together. He's heading down the Sebastian Inlet. He's gonna do a camping trip and kind of bounce around to a couple different areas. But looking
That's
forward to
awesome.
meeting up with him and his family, man. It's gonna be a good trip. We'll shoot some footage and get it out here for you guys to see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That sounds great. When I was watching the interview that you sent me, I really like when it's an entire family event. It's him, it's his kids, his wife, his grandkids, and I just think that's freaking awesome, man. These days that's something that's kind of like a forgotten thing. It's just all about these stupid things, and that's all anybody ever cares about. But you just forget to get out there and spend time with the family and do some outdoor activities. And I think that's a really good thing, and hopefully more people could get into that. That would be great.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's been, getting the Instagram shot or getting the Facebook shot or making the YouTube video is more important than having the little one asking a bunch of questions on how you're doing it, how you're catching the fish, or even getting them to where they think the whole day is about them, and that makes them interested in the fishing, So I agree. It's almost a loss, kind of thing to do. And I hope a lot of people get back to it, because that's the next generation coming up. That's the next people that are going to be protecting the species, following the regulations and just making it possible for the next to continue on.
Absolutely, man. And to anybody watching this video, if you like me and Aaron at all, just get out there, man. Leave the phone in the car, leave the phone at home, and just enjoy time with outdoors and your family, and just have fun. Not everything needs to be public. Just get out there and have some fun.
I agree, man. I agree. And Chris, while I'm thinking about it, you can't forget about one of our biggest supporters, man, Extreme Bait Tanks. I forgot to mention him to Jay when we were in the middle of the podcast, man, but super amazing friggin' guy over there. I mean, put so much hard work and time and effort into making these bait tanks what they are. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check out Extreme Bait Tanks, make sure you guys give him a follow and check out his products for sure.
Absolutely, man. Damon was one of my favorite guests on the show. I mean, in detail, explaining the product and everything, and he just makes a phenomenal bait tank. It's great. And thanks to all the sponsors of the show: Tony Maja, Finessence, Fisherman's Choice, Stan from SNS Bucktails. What a great dude. But this week, that's all the time we have. I hope you guys enjoy. And once again, if you did enjoy, please leave a comment. Let us know. If you have somebody you want to see come on and hear from them, maybe put them in the hot seat. Comment their name and see if we get in touch with them, and we'll try to make it happen. All right, guys?
For sure, guys. Tight lines. Get out there with the family. Enjoy.
From Fishing Magician TV and Angler Talk Podcast, he's Aaron, I'm Chris, and we're out. Peace.
Hey, guys.
Chime.